What is up, and welcome to the Beyond the Arc with Brandon Silver's 2023 SEC football preview. As always, I am your host, Brandon Silvers. If you're watching on YouTube, we're doing these a team at a time to make the videos less husky and easier to watch. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you are getting the full preview all at once because you have a pause button. Now, you should subscribe to both video and audio by checking the show notes or searching Beyond the Arc with Brandon Silvers so that you don't miss anything, such as the video-only, most entertaining weekly college football pick'em show in the history of the world, Brett's Bets. Speaking of Brett's Bets, I am joined today by the man himself, Brett Gosnell, to help me break down these SEC teams. Brett, let's get into it. The Auburn Tigers, 5-7 last year, 2-6 in the conference. When you're that bad, what do? You run out, you hire Hugh Freeze. So, good news for the escort services in the Auburn area and NCAA investigators. Brett, is it good news for the product on the field?
I think it will be. Maybe not this year, but Hugh Freeze is good.
Yeah.
I mean, say what you will about him. He can coach. I mentioned earlier how Arkansas is similar to us. You know, it's kind of our brother across the way there. There cannot be a team more different than South Carolina than Auburn, in my opinion. So what they've done the last couple of years, the former coach, I can't even remember his name at this point, from Boise, they are like ready to run him off like before the first year is even over. And the fans get mad enough to push him out. He almost beat Alabama. Like, it's just, if Tank Bigsby goes down in bounds, that he's beating Alabama. But anyway, they run this guy off, and then they bring in Hugh Freeze, and they've given Hugh Freeze a $16 million NIL collective is what I'm hearing. So there's a lot of ways that their program and their fan base is different than ours. Tolerance for shadiness much higher, and willingness to open up the pocketbooks to support NIL much higher.
We have the moral high ground, and what more could you ask for? But yeah, they got Harsin out of there quick.
Harsin, thank you.
And you would think with all that money, maybe they're saving it for later. But the quarterback, Robbie Ashford, was not good at all last season. 49% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. The offense looked rough, to say the least. Bigsby's left, too. I mean, they bring back Jarquez Hunter, but those are big shoes to fill. Are they going to score points this year, or should we just wait till later?
So they're bringing in Peyton Thorne from Michigan State. Probably better than Graham Mertz if we're talking about Big Ten transfers coming to the SEC, but not a lot better. Another kind of average-ish guy. And like you say, lose their best player in Tank Bigsby. But Hugh Freeze is very good offensive coach. So he'll have them scoring some form of points. They're not going to be the best offense in the conference or anything, but and I should have mentioned this earlier. Their Vegas win total is 6.5, which, given how horrible they were last year and given they're in a first year of a new coach, that's a lot of confidence Vegas is showing in Hugh Freeze here to get to more than bowl eligible in his first year.
Yeah, I think that is, especially because they play Georgia, they have to go to LSU, and they play Bama. So that's 3 losses right there.
Yeah.
So that is impressive. Oh, Hugh Freeze. He knows, you're right. He knows how to coach football. He knows how to coach on offense, especially as many times as much shit as he does off the field.
Yeah.
The on the field product. This is why he keeps getting hired.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would have if I was Ray Tanner, he would have been my first call when Muschamp was gone. I mean, no question about it. Um,
And that's
so
Freeze is a guy who likes phones. He loves calls.
he would have answered the call. I don't know if he would have
Yeah.
accepted
Who is
the
this?
call. So something interesting, as you can imagine, him being who he is with the NIL budget being what it is, him being in his first year, they're bringing in a shitload of transfers. They're what they're doing that's interesting. They're bringing in a lot of kids from the small schools, like the conference Liberty was in, and those smaller conferences. He's loading up on those players. One, that's probably about the best they can get at this point, aside from the D tackle they stole from Kentucky. Uh, but maybe Hugh Freeze's time at Liberty, he probably identified a lot of guys. So don't sleep on these small school transfers. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, he was winning big games at Liberty with
Yeah.
that level of talent. So why not come do it at least for the first little bit here at Auburn? I mean, there's no way the talent that he brought in, like a high level talent at the level he was at last year, is certainly better than whatever Auburn had last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, on defense, I know they're bringing back 9 starters. Are any of them good? And will it matter if the offense looks how it looks last year?
So the defense was not very good last year, but like you say, they're bringing back a lot of starters. And normally I feel like that. Sorry, I was getting their defensive coordinator's name. So normally I would if your team is bad, I'd rather like just the players not come back. But this might be an instance where it does work out for them because they're bringing in Ron Roberts, D coordinator from Baylor, and you know how good that Baylor defense has been the last several years. Dave Aranda, head coach, just a defensive mastermind. I think that it's something weird. It's like a 3-2-6 or some shit like that. But yeah, Baylor's defense has just been killer the last several years, and I think this is a fantastic hire. And he's getting guys that SEC level talent they wouldn't be at Auburn otherwise, and they've been through the fire for a year. So I think the defense could actually be pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be improved on that side of the ball. I know the defensive back unit, I was looking at that seems to be one of the better ones in the conference, which helps. And I don't know, Hugh Freeze, like we say, he wins games. If they can keep him off the phone, they're gonna be all right.
Oh well, it'll be like a Bruce Pearl type who they fucking
hired him too. Yeah,
it'll be a situation where, which he's still there and doing fine. I was gonna say it'll be a situation where they'll win a ton, and then in 5 years it'll all fall down with the violations and shit like that. But it'll be a fun ride and it'll be worth it. But yeah, Bruce Pearl's still hanging on, so maybe at Auburn you can hang on.
Exactly, and I think it gets easier too with the NIL stuff. Like that eliminates one huge thing you can run into with the NCAA. So I don't know. And this is what Auburn does, honestly. Like they go out, they get someone, they get really good for a little bit, then they suck, and they just kind of keep repeating the process. So
yeah. And that works.
That's the way to do it.
They've won more than we have. Speaking of the NIL thing, we mentioned earlier, you are supposed to use your NIL for on-campus players only. You're not supposed to recruit. You mentioned this in your show last week too, I believe, talking about the realignment and stuff. They clearly are not doing this. We know that firsthand. We had a recruit in the bag, 4-star Jalewis Solomon, I think his name was. We had him 100% in the bag. Even Auburn's recruiting service said he's going to South Carolina. Sorry, guys. And then, like right before the commitment ceremony, shocked everybody and flipped. And like we're both discussing our NIL like infrastructure, as part of the recruiting pitch. What do you come in? Clearly, you're coming in with a specific number to get him to change at that point. So, but good for them. Good for them.
And that's one of those rules that I don't care about breaking. Like, you should go break that rule. If it's something where you're abusing kids or whatever, like people are dying, okay, well, let's deal with that rule.
That's where I draw.
Yeah. Kids have to be alive to be able to cash the checks. That's where I draw the line.
I'm against kids dying, and I don't care who knows it.
I'm taking a stand right now. And you know what? If you want to call an escort service, I don't really care about that either.
No, absolutely not.
I've made jokes about Hugh Freeze, who could, like, he seems to be a scumbag. I'm going to be honest. But when I looked up 12 calls over 33 months, that's really not a lot of calls, everybody. Like, 12 calls to escorts over 33 months. Like, that's nothing.
Yeah.
He could be doing so, like, he could, 12 calls a month would still be a little low if you need to relieve stress from NCAA investigations. So,
yeah. If you're going 2.5 months between escort calls, I think it's okay. Come on.
It's so weird that at that point, I don't even really know why you're calling. If you're calling that infrequently. I think, so the thing was, he was doing it with his school issued phone. So maybe he was using his regular phone to call more often.
That
would be my only other thing.
He was fiending that bad that he couldn't get to his regular phone, and he couldn't even wait to get to the regular phone.
I gotta call now. That's a good point. So
send him a letter on, like, this letterhead, like, please meet me here.
So, again, I get why it's a problem, but I don't care about that rule either. All the kids, I believe, they're probably alive after Hugh Freeze and well paid, and of course now as well. So, Gamecock, NIL, Garnet Trust, let's go.
To go to Liberty, it's like how you hate Trump, but it's like you almost admire how awful he is so openly. It's like, this is amazing that you even do this. That's how I feel about him. It's like, how hypocritical, and Liberty is paying this man huge amounts of money and stuff. And, like, it's the Falwell family. Ain't that his Liberty?
Yep.
Falwells?
Yep.
Oh, it's just so, this is a whole other podcast to even start on this shit, but it's just so hilariously hypocritical that, like, I admire it.
Yeah, just completely shameless. And it's like, if Liberty will hire the escort calling guy.
Yeah. How you're saying you're better than Liberty? Come on, they got
the Falwells. Now we know they have their own. I mean,
well, come on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, that's where we should set the bar. If the Falwells are able to be hypocritical in terms of morality, then every program should do it.
Yeah. Yeah, like, as much shit as we talk about Dabo, and he clearly his Christianity shtick is hilarious too. But this is just like many levels higher of hilariousness.
Yes, man, we do need to do a deep dive on that at some point. I think that would be funny, like a retrospective on the Hugh Freeze Liberty years.
In every interview, he, like, talks about God, like, so much. It's just, again, I'm not talking bad about the guy. I admire this level of dedication to this grift. It's just, it's just honestly admirable to me.
And that is what it is. And he's so good at it. Like, man, Hugh Freeze. So, all right, I think that'll do it for Auburn. Call escorts on your personal phone. That's the last tip we'll leave you with.